Hello and welcome to a product review. Today we're going to review the Feiyutech G5. Version 2. This is version 2 of the gimbal. Some of you may realise that I already have a G5. I have the original G5, and of course it's done me proud. Now what I had was a Feiyutech Summon Plus, which, to be honest with you, left me wanting for more because it had a few quirks. And talking to Feiyutech, they said that they weren't going to do anything about it, so it's actually made it into a gimbal that I find useless. If you want to know more, then have a look at my gimbal review, which I did, and the update. For now, we're going to have a look at this G5 version 2. So here we are. Here's the package. Typical package that we get from Feiyutech. The outer cover, and then we get the box, the very solid box. It must actually cost them a lot of money to produce these boxes. It's not going to stand up. Anyway, so inside we have the documents, the warranty and everything else which we don't particularly need at the moment. Then there's a usual counterweight that we'll probably have to use. A box of tricks. I always find these boxes quite challenging to get into. I have no nails. So inside the box we have the usual array of cables, and of course the battery, which is a 22650 3000 milliamp 3.7 volt, which I already have 4 of because I have several other devices. The USB with a mini, I think that's the mini, or is that the I can never remember what these are called. Anyway, this one, standard small USB. And then we have the... God, why do they make it so difficult to get into? It's crazy. Anyway, so there are long screws, and then we have 2 of these cables. Now, this is for charging. So we have a normal sized USB, and then we have the USB-C, which is quite useful because it does mean that I can now find a camera, a 4K camera that will fit instead of using my GoPro. Then we have this lovely, very lovely sort of feel to it. It's got a nice feel to this case. It looks like with a very strong zip. Nice carry case. I mean, I don't know how much they spend on this stuff, but it is actually quite good quality product. And then again, trying to get this thing out of here. It's like trying to get blood out of a stone. So the gimbal isn't really much difference to the version 1. It has writing on the side, G5, but everything else appears to be the same. And the main reason why I've obviously got this as a second gimbal is because of mainly because of the batteries, because that means I've actually got loads of these batteries now. So it means that if I ever run out of charge, I have a spare battery that I can just bung into the gimbal. I haven't got to worry about having to charge up the gimbal battery before I can use it. I can just swap it out. And the other thing that I really like about this G5, because I nearly bought the G6, but the G6 has the battery compartment on the lower half of this. So this lower half here would be the battery compartment, and on the G5 version it's halfway up, so the battery goes in there. So everything in the box there, which we've had a look at, it's pretty much the same as the other G5. I believe they've done some updates to it, but I'm not sure what. And of course, inclusion of the USB-C cable, which I'd never had before. I only had the mini. I presume that's what it's called. The standard GoPro sized. Which one is it? That one there. The GoPro sized plug, which fits all of the GoPros, and also my Git 2, which is why I got the Git 2, mainly because it's a good camera, but also because it has the same socket, and I wouldn't have to worry about cables and things like that. So when I'm charging up or when I'm downloading the files, that was the main thing, trying to keep everything the same. Now with this this new gimbal, we'll put the camera on, and then we'll give it a fire up the we'll fire up the batteries and see what happens. So I'll come back to you in a moment when I've done that.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, so having put it all together, I've got my GoPro Black, which is a Hero 4. I've got that installed and all set up. Now I plugged it all in, plugged the cable in, plugged the battery in, and we're ready to turn it on. Now I have got a tripod stand which I bought separately, which isn't part of this deal, but it's an Andoa. It's fairly cheap, but it's pretty stable, and it allows you to put the gimbal down. Now in the we have the envelope, we have the warranty card, which is quite useful. We have a booklet which gives you the instructions, the instructions and what you should see inside the box, compatible, and also some dimensions and things like that. And then the other one is in other languages, so this is Chinese, I believe, so Chinese one and a English one. So that's in the warranty envelope. Now I'm debating whether I need to use this weight. I can't remember what I did before, but I believe I didn't use it because it's only for Hero 5 or 6. And of course I've done the screws up on the actual gimbal. These are quite good because they do not fall out. So if you undo the bracket itself, the actual bracket that is on the GoPro, if you take that off altogether, the screws, they actually stay in the bracket itself. So you haven't got to sort of muck around with those. Now, as per all of these gimbals, there are 3 buttons here, and we have the middle one, which obviously turns it on, and it resets to the horizontal. You've obviously got the joystick, which obviously goes around left and right, and of course up and down, which is how it should be, but not on the summon. If you've got the summon, if you go up, it actually goes down, which is very, very annoying, and the reason why this is a replacement for the summon. So, and then the bottom button, let me just level that off. So this is the selfie button, and it turns around as long as you hold it, and then it will replace. So if you've got a quick selfie, you could do a little thing to camera. The only problem is it doesn't stay there, which is annoying. It should be, there should be some way of turning it around. So buttons, we have one press, and it doesn't move in any direction. Let's go back. 2 presses and we end up with turning up and down. So when you've got this, it goes, if you tilt it back, it goes up, and if you tilt it forward, it goes down. If you go to the left, it goes left. If you go to the right. So that was 2 presses. 3 presses, left, right, and it doesn't go in any other direction, just left and right. Having done that, the USB port on the side with a little rubber seal, as per normal. So that was on my other one. That one came off altogether because after using it, it just comes off in the end. So the G5, we'll try that out. It does actually feel slightly different. Feels like it could be slightly more refined, as it were. So a slightly refined operation, and it's got a really nice feel to it as well, as per all of these Feiyutech gimbals. They actually have a nice rubberized feel, sort of very smooth, and I can feel that if it was sort of a little bit damp, because they are supposed to be splash proof, hence all the seals. And talking of seals, if you have a look at that, you can just about see it. Little flat thing, which is where you plug in the charging cable. I can see that that's going to become really annoying, and it will probably come off, because I have no intention of actually removing the charging cable from the GoPro. because I always use it with a charger, with the battery charging the GoPro. So I can see that that's going to have to come off. I actually, it's an improvement over version 1, because version 1 was just a sticky pad that when you peeled it off, it was finished with. Basically, you just chuck it in the bin. There was no rubberized replacement. You couldn't replace it back in to cover the hole. This one, obviously, if you unplug it, you can actually replace the plastic cover, rubberized cover. So if it was, if you were going to use it splash proof, then obviously the port will be covered. But it does actually feel very much quite nice in operation. Very much like the other one, the other G5, but it feels more refined. So 3 presses takes it back to the original position. Selfie mode, which obviously you need to keep it pressed. And there we go. So you can deactivate, hold the middle button, and then it slams it down onto the top of the gimbal, and there is no protection there, and luckily for me it's a Hydro 4 black, so there's no screen to scratch. But on my other gimbal, my G5, there is it's a GoPro Silver, so there is a screen to which obviously is obviously banging onto the top of the gimbal. So that is the G5 V2. Now all of these are very much the same. I think this G5 I have sort of an affinity with, because I do like the G5. It's going to be, this one is going to be my main gimbal, and the other G5 is going to become my scooter gimbal, and will replace the Summon, which I was using, but I'm no longer, because it's far too confusing with the up and down movement of the joystick, and Feiyutech have no plans to replace the functionality of that. So I now have a gimbal that is pointless and useless, and resigned to the collection. But there you go. So if you have enjoyed today's little review, it is worth buying this G5 V2 if you don't have a gimbal, or even if you have a gimbal. Comparing it to the G6, I didn't buy the G6 because of several things. One is the batteries are different. They're different size batteries. They also have this different charging cable. There was no sign of a Hero 4 charging cable in the package. So it was a mini C. So that would mean that I would have to change my camera, or get another camera. While I am looking at cameras, I didn't really want to spend more money on that. But mainly it was about batteries, because they are different. It's a different size battery. And of course, I want to keep all the batteries the same. So I have a supply of batteries. And of course, the best way to do that was just have a similar gimbal. So there we go. Right, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you again very soon. Bye for now.